Black Mirror, Season 3, Episode 3, Shut Up and Dance. Welcome back to another Floppyleggs YouTube video. As you know, we're going through every single episode of Black Mirror ever, reviewing them about the story, the concept, the characters, and then of course the twist. And then we're rating it out of 10 and comparing them to every episode to see which is our official top episodes and official worst episodes. I'm letting you know this right now. This is the first one I've done without taking many notes, okay? Before I make a video, I always do a little notes about what I'm going to say within each category. This one I'm doing raw. I literally just finished the episode and I need to just spew rather than type. Let's get into it. Spoiler warning ahead. Starting off the story, obviously we follow Kenny, who's, you know, just a regular guy. Okay, I can't even do this in the right order, can I? Listen, all right, we all know what happens in the twist, yeah? But I'm going to speak to you as if the twist ain't happened, okay? So how he's portrayed to us in this episode. Of course, I've watched this second time round knowing the twist, and it was still incredible to watch even though I knew the twist, okay? So we know how it ends. So when I refer to him as a regular guy, just know that I'm referring to how he was portrayed to us before the twist happened, okay? Let's get into it properly now. Okay, so he's portrayed to us as a regular guy, Kenny. He obviously works at a restaurant. He's cleaning the tables, mopping the floors, and, you know, at the very beginning of the episode, he sees the kid left a toy on the table. He grabs it and passes it over. Nice guy. He gets picked on by the chefs of the restaurant. You feel bad for him in that sense. You know, he comes home, his sister's stealing his laptop, his sister's stealing his Diet Coke. You know, it feels like he's looked over, worthless, walked over in some way, shape or form. And you feel bad for him in that sense. And then, of course, he's downstairs when his mum's gone and him and his sister are watching the music channel. And there's a music video that has got an attractive woman and a promiscuous sort of story playing out on the screen. And obviously, we see him go upstairs, lock the door, turn on his laptop and proceed to... And, you know, at that moment, he's just probably a regular teenage boy seeing something and then doing something, okay? And because his sister stole the laptop, she basically obviously tried to download a software to make her watch films on it. He gets a malware to clean it. By cleaning it, it implanted some dodgy stuff within it. Camera watched him. He gets a message on an email saying, we saw what you done. They sent the video. And that is the precedence of the story. That kicks on. It's the most intense episode of Black Mirror, I think, ever. Like, literally after seeing it, I feel like I need to have a breather because it was so intense. Heartbeat, like, just pat. It's so enthralling, and how it plays out is incredible. The story obviously then develops. He's now at the whim and mercy of this thing, these people. That's how he refers to them. These people are messaging me. You know, he's at the whim of these hackers. And we see that he goes to work, tries to act all normal. But then he's told he's got a job to do. He's been activated by this thing, and he's got to go out and complete mission 1, which is get to somewhere within 45 minutes when it's a 57-minute journey. So he's cycling like his life depends on it, because it literally does. He meets somebody who's on a bike, gives him a cake. He then takes the cake to the hotel. He meets Hector. We find out Hector was wanted to have an affair with a prostitute. He was talking to them online, thinking he was talking to the actual woman, Mindy, but it turned out it was part of the hackers. Okay, they were playing him, and they caught him, and they got him involved. They get into a car. Obviously, this car is something we saw from the very, very beginning of the episode, where the CEO of a company was, you know, we later find out she's in a grey hoodie. She plants the keys on the back of the car. It plays out. They drive. They end up needing to get petrol. And then all of a sudden, the head of the PTA at the school that Hector's kid goes to is like, can I catch a lift? It's like, this is not the time. I'm going to call her Karen. I don't even know what her name is. This is not the time, Karen. Get out the car. Then he starts speeding and she's looking at him thinking, cool, blimey. And this kid, you know, Kenny comes in with the wallet with condoms dropping out. Very mixed messages going on here for Karen seeing this. She speeds. They kick her out of the car. In that moment, again, we're still defending Kenny and wanting him to survive this because we don't know what the true story is. And he is panicking, like they're stressed. And we're like so stressed with them. We're saying, get out the car. God damn it. And then they end up speeding all the way. They get to the location. It's outside a bank. And then they look into the cake and there's a gun. This bit was incredible. So earlier on, Hector asks Kenny, what have they got him for? Because he reveals his story about the prostitute and things like that. He asks Kenny, what's your story? Then Kenny just says, I was looking at pictures and they filmed me. Then he's like, what? They filmed you? Da-da-da-da. What? That's nothing. Everyone's done that. Even the Pope's probably done that, is what he says. Then this moment when they're outside the bank and they got to decide who's the driver and who's the robber, and Kenny's like, I'm not going to do it. He shifts. Hector shifts and manipulates the hell out of him. And it's actually quite horrible in this moment. It's really sickening because this kid, Kenny, in this moment is just a regular kid who watched something that every single boy in the world has ever done. You know, every single person has ever done, okay? Obviously, not the actual thing. Remember what I said at the beginning of the video? I'm talking about what it's like as it's portrayed to us, okay? So you feel bad for him. He's calling him out saying, oh, I'd end everything if I was you. If that got out, it'll be all over your mum's Facebook. All your friends will see it. Just to get him to go do the thing. He psychs himself up. He goes in there. He even pees himself as he's holding the gun up to the bank person. Gets the money. They get in the car. They drive to a new location. And this is where it gets interesting again, because now they split up. Hector's got to destroy the car, and it's all but over for Kenny because he has to deliver the money. This is what it was all about. The hackers were clearly making them do this to give money to them. It would make sense. Okay, that's why they've been doing it. Sadistic, but it makes sense. He goes up this hill. He follows this GPS. One thing I do want to add, there's no chance that GPS would be able to get a location in the middle of a forest, okay? My Apple Maps struggle when I'm next to a riverbank, you know? It's like, where are we? I'm in the water. Where am I? I'm drowning. No, I'm literally standing. I had no chance that would have worked. No, he goes into this. What I really liked as well when he enters the forest, obviously with the knowledge of what ends in this episode, it's like a barred gate. He opens the gate and it shuts in behind him. It's like him being condemned to a jail sentence. You know, he's in prison now, you know, there's no getting out as much as he feels like he could. He meets the person that he's got to deliver the money to, but he finds out that the money is prize money for winning the fight to the death. And this is where I found it really interesting. The story, obviously, it could link to the concept, but the story, if you look into it, I imagine, you know, the gun was in the cake, and the person who delivered the cake definitely didn't put the gun in there. Okay, so that means there's somebody before that who was the baker. And then someone before that who probably had to collect the gun, and then someone before that who had to get the getaway car, and then she had to put the keys. So what I'm trying to say is there's probably a long list of people that have been involved in this, and we find out at the end that the hackers, whatever, they reveal all the information. And it's interesting, the point I'm trying to make here is the person who planted the keys in the car had a very small job to do. Her reveal was that she had some racist emails, obviously terrible. The next person that was involved that we saw was the delivery driver. He gets called like a perv by his partner, I think, or something. So we don't know what he's done, but he's done something. And I think each escalation of involvement, you know, whether it was more or nearer the end, was decided by how bad your act was, okay? Of course, what the hackers done is coerce them all to be part of a bigger crime, the bank heist. Whether it's putting the gun in the cake or, you know, delivering the cake, they're all part of this massive crime. So whether it is just a racist email, they're all involved in this bigger thing now. And then, of course, depending on how bad your crime and act was, according to the hacker, you would end up doing more tasks. So, of course, trying to organize an affair with a prostitute when you have a wife and kids at home, you know, it puts him there. And then those two at the end, obviously, were deemed the worst crime. Of course, we get told in that moment. I'm quite surprised from my memory. I remember the reveal being the phone call, but in that moment, they kind of reveal it then. But of course, we find out that, you know, the music at the end is incredible. It's Radiohead. I can't remember what song it's called. It's the perfect music to play in this moment because it's absolutely just... You know, Hector goes home, walks into the room, gets a troll face message sent to him. He sees his wife. She says, "Who's Mindy?" We see the delivery driver. We see the CEO. We see those come up, and we see our character, our protagonist. He was portrayed to us as the good guy, some would say, in all of this, being caught up in this mess for something that we've all done, but no, we haven't done. He gets the phone call. And it's his mum. And the last time we properly see him with his mum, of course, she runs in and gets the keys. But the last time, she gives him a kiss on the cheek and says, "I love you. I'll see you in a..." And she just, "Kids, Kenny, kids." Oh, it's It's the most like incredible twist. And I spoke about in yesterday's video about playtest how it was a rug pull at the end. This one is like a rug pull, and then the rug's gone over our head. And then we've been suffocated. We're like, we're that deluded, we're that confused. Like, what the bleeding nails happened here? That they've managed to put the rug over our head and then we're gone. You know what I mean? I don't know how to describe how I feel after this. And then in the end, the shot is just, it encapsulates everything. It's his shock-ridden face, blood pouring down. He's been broken down to the bare bones. Before that, you know, he was kind of happy. He was smiling. Think about him in the beginning of the episode compared to now. He's been absolutely torn apart. And then the blue flashing lights hit his face as the police turn up. Because he's just not just done this, not just done that. He's killed someone. He's done so much stuff. Like, he's been absolutely ruined as the troll face comes in. And the hacker's job, I don't know what they were doing it for. because when you realize that it goes all the way from racist CEO messages all the way to here. I don't know what the hacker's MO was, but I guess it was just a troll. It was to force them down this path that they didn't want to go down and things like that. Going over to the concept now, like the concept in this episode, I think the technology element that is being looked at here, of course, the concept isn't always about technology, but I think it's about how, you know, it's an extreme version of it. I just want to make that clear, but phone, every time, look at it, boom. Of course, the reason they're looking at it so quickly and attentively, even when he's driving, do you know what I mean, is because their life, quote unquote, depends on it. But it's as if every time you hear a ding, they make it so loud, different notification sounds, look at it. And of course, at the very end, when they're having that fight to the death, and there's that drone, we get a very close. We don't see the fight. It's not about the fight. It's not about any of that. It's zooming in on that lens, on that drone, that camera lens, and it's a black mirror looking back at us. I think as well, little elements of just like, we've all downloaded malware protection, antiviruses, what have you. So and we maybe, some people have conversations with people online, maybe not like Hector, but you have conversations with people online. Maybe you think they're this, but they're that. I think there's just an overall idea about the internet. I mean, Hector goes into it when he's trying to persuade Kenny to do the bank heist, that it'll be all over social media, Insta, whatever, it'll be everywhere. You know, things can spread so quickly, and that's why he's so fearful. And of course we find out that the reason he is fearful, but I think the concept is brilliant in this. I think the concept as well is like this idea that is so intense the whole way through. Like, it's not even about just the tech, it's about exploring people as well. It's exploring people. Like Hector says, I would rather unalive myself than lose my kids. But then you'd argue, why did you try and commit an act cheating on your wife when you knew that would be the consequence? Do you know what I mean? And then this idea that Kenny would also, like, why would you do it when you would also go to the degree of doing such horrific things just to prevent that information going out? Like, this idea that we do things that we think will go unnoticed, or, you know, we can get away with, but deep down we know they're terrible things, but so why are we doing them? Obviously different ranging degrees there from what Kenny done to what that CEO done. Obviously all bad, and that they all got their comeuppance. But what I would say is there's a little underlying thread from White Bear from season 2, where what we're seeing is these people basically get to some degree tortured. Like, they're getting told to run around like headless chickens, do this, that, and the other. Like, I'm gonna ruin your life. I'm gonna spread the information if you don't do it. And when you realize what they've all done, especially Kenny and stuff, you're like, I now get why the hacker was doing it. But at the same time, do you think that's a fair thing? Maybe a similar sort of conversation from White Bear. Let me know if you agree with that or not. Moving over to the characters very quickly. Obviously, we've mentioned them in quite good detail already, but Kenny and Hector, I think, are the main two that we're going to talk about here. And then the hacker. Again, the hacker, I don't really understand what their MO was, but, you know, I guess it was just a troll, and kind of just showcase they're not like a character. They represent the internet. They represent, you know, this idea. Like, I think the way the story is presented to us for 80% of it, 90% of it is, you know, the dangers of online stuff that you can just download so freely, and then it can, you know, get into your webcam, the black mirror, and ruin your life. You know, that's what's portrayed to us throughout this episode. And Kenny is someone you feel for. So horrible what he's going through. Like, he's genuinely, he just breaks down in so many moments, and you feel bad for him because of what he's done. As Hector says, everyone's done that. What the hell? Like, why? Don't worry too much about it. But what's real about it, what's the real truth is what we hear. So again, I just love Black Mirror for what they've done there, is making us feel for this character Kenny. Whereas if you had the information of what he actually done, no one on earth would feel bad for him. Like, you wouldn't. If anything, people would relish in him going through all of this torment. So that writing there, that character, I know it's easy to put this information here, but to genuinely make us feel bad for him, and then that's how the rug's gone over our head. And it's, you know, Hector, again, an interesting character. I think it just, again, Black Mirror, flawed characters. Hector is so flawed. He's literally saying with such visceral energy what he would do to himself if he lost his kids and his wife. You know what I mean? But then he would risk it all just so that he can do stuff with a 20-something. That's what he said. Like, that's so fickle, so wrong. Like, that's not what it's all like. That's not what life's about. Like, but then humans are like that, you know. The characters in this episode are great. Kenny is a brilliant character throughout it, genuinely. Because what I'm trying to say is, I've watched it after knowing what happens. And I did that for White Bear, and it wasn't as good, to be fair. This one was just as good knowing the information. It really was, because it felt different. There was moments with how he withholds information, Kenny, but now you know it, and it's like, oh. And then we'll see at the very beginning when he's giving the kid the toy, it's just like, oh. And finally, the twist, the big twist. Okay, we've already spoken about it, as we always do, but let's go into a bit more detail about it. Of course, it's the idea that Kenny and his acts wasn't what all of us people have done in our lives. It was something a lot more heinous and disgusting. And when he gets the phone call from his mum with the Radiohead song hitting its peak, kids, Kenny, kids, you can't help but just be it's so interesting, because when you see Hector going into the house and the music's coming in, you know, it's the end of the episode, you can finally sigh, you know, that was so intense, that episode, just sigh and let it out. And then you get the troll message, and then you realize you're warped right back into the heat of it, into the thick of it, as KSI would said. But yeah, genuinely one of the best twists in any Black Mirror episode, in any TV, in any film, in anything. Like, that is the best twist in all of it. I just can't believe that, how good that episode was on the rewatch. Like, the feeling I'm feeling watching, just being like, oh Lord, like the police coming over to them as they go past this junction. They think that's them done, but then they carry on going, and then he's going up this hill. Then this guy's drinking his vodka, being like, you know what we've got to do here? We've got to fight to the death. And you're thinking, Kenny can't catch a break. All he did was watch a few things and do a little do. But then it turns out he did a lot of da, you know? And then that's when you're like, oh, that's why he was put through all of this nonsense this whole time. And that's why he was like, he deserved it, you could argue. But then you have the White Bear conversation of, does he deserve all of that? Yes, he deserves to be punished, but does he deserve all of that? And then it's the idea that the hacker trolled them all. And like, the big troll is that he got them all complicit within a bank heist. Literally every one of them are now, like, it's not just their lives ruined from a social standpoint. Obviously Kenny much bigger, but like Hector's life is going to be ruined now because he's the getaway driver. He's complicit. He's involved. It's that time of the episode though where you've been waiting for. What have I rated out of 10? You can see the energy I've been giving this episode. Previously, I think I ranked it 3rd or 2nd in my top 10. This is number 1. This is 10 out of 10. I'm sorry, I have no faults on it. The fact that it was this good on a rewatch takes it above White Bear for me. Playtest was a surprising 9.5 for me on the rewatch. But this one, just, I think they cooked. They cooked. I saw a comment the other day that said season 3 is the worst season. Are you okay? This is unreal. Think what I've done so far. Nosedive, 9 out of 10. Playtest, 9.5. And now this, 10 out of 10. Obviously, we've got 3 more episodes to watch this season, so make sure you drop a sub if you haven't done so already. Here it is on the table, as you can see, in that glorious number 1 spot. I'm really intrigued to see what else could push 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10. There's so many more episodes we haven't seen yet that I know that I love, so I'm really intrigued to see what I rate them on the rewatch. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did I rate it too highly? Will there be another 10 out of 10 in this series of reviews that I'm doing? Let me know in the comments down below. I've been Floppyleggs, and I'll see ya when I see ya.